Hi, this is Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, back here on WagerTalk TV with your look at Saturday's NCAA Tournament matchups, the most public side plays for Saturday. We have 16 games as we finish out the round of 64, and I'm going to give you the 8 most public side plays. 8 of the 16 games on Saturday made the list. I'm going to get those to you here in just a moment. Quick reminder, though, if you'd like to get my number one ranked college basketball, it is still available, as always, on a daily basis at WagerTalk.com. Normally it's $25 a play, $40 when I have a rare 5%er. But if you're serious about making money and playing consistently and taking a true investment approach, which is what I highly recommend, now is the time to do so. And I'm going to give you a $50 discount with a special promo code on this video only, CBB50, CBB50. That gets you $50 off the rest of the season. It's normally $299. We took it down to $199 on the website this week, taking it down another $50 to $149. That's the rest of college basketball for the next 3 weeks through the NCAA championship game on April 5th. And my college basketball entering the tournament, 59-35, 87.5% return on investment. And you don't want to miss out. There's plenty more to come at WagerTalk.com. Steve Merril, CBB50 for a $50 discount on the rest of the college basketball season. Let's look at Saturday's matchups in the NCAA tournament. I have 8 games that qualified. You know, I did a video for the Friday games, and we had 6. Well, actually, we had 1 Thursday, 5 Friday. I'm doing this update here on Friday evening, so a lot of games have not gone final yet. But so far, the results are in. It's looked pretty good. The most public play I saw in all of round 1, including the play-in games Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, was Michigan State. I mentioned that on the video yesterday. And Michigan State, of course, loses outright as a favorite in overtime Thursday night to UCLA. Now, Michigan State was covering a good amount of that game, but they lost outright when it mattered. Then we came back Friday, a couple of the early games that are in the books as I do this video. Colgate was a very public underdog. Arkansas was down early, ended up winning by double digits and covering, so got off to a 2-0 start, fading the public. Guess what? The Oral Roberts was a public underdog. They were not wrong on that one. Moneyline gave them a 7% chance of winning outright as a 15-point dog, and Oral Roberts pulled the monster upset as a 15 seed over number 2 seed Ohio State. So far, 2-1 fading the public. Of course, the NFL video is an incredible 31-7 fading the public. Not sure we're going to match those numbers, but we're going to keep track of it here over the next few weeks. We'll have some fun with it. And most importantly, hopefully this will help you use this as a filter, and it'll help your handicapping when picking these games. So let's get into Saturday's games for Saturday, March 20th. I'm going to go down in rotation schedule order as I did on the other video, and we're going to start with Cal Santa Barbara plus 7.5. That looks like a very public underdog. You know, first of all, whenever the public is leaning towards a dog to start with, it catches my attention. And when it's over 65% of the tickets or more, that's definitely a public lean. And that is the case here with Cal Santa Barbara on Saturday. That game, by the way, goes Saturday afternoon, 3:30 Eastern on True TV. However, I don't disagree with it. I think Cal has an excellent chance of pulling the outright upset over an overrated Creighton team. We saw Creighton exposed by Georgetown last Saturday in the Big East Finals, just embarrassed, blown out. And Creighton's a team that needs to play fast. Cal Santa Barbara, an excellent slow-down half-court team. So I agree with the public here. I would not look to fade them in this one. Cal Santa Barbara, a public underdog at plus 7.5, but I agree with it. That line has dropped. By the way, it went from 8 down to 6.5 and then back to 7.5, so some strange line movement there. But once again, I fully understand why Cal Santa Barbara is getting the look, and I think it's rightly so. Next game in rotation order for Saturday is Ohio University. That goes at 7 p.m. Eastern Saturday night on True TV. Ohio University opened as a 10.5-point underdog against Virginia, the defending national champs from 2 years ago. And now it's down to 7.5. A lot of money, a lot of tickets coming in on Ohio University. Hard to disagree, though. There's so much uncertainty following this Virginia team. As I do this video on Friday evening, we still don't know who the player is that is out with COVID. And we still don't even know if they're going to get any practice sessions in. The earliest Virginia can practice will be Saturday morning. They are traveling to the game right now as we speak. They've been in quarantine in Charlottesville, Virginia all week since they got bumped out last Friday of the ACC tournament with a COVID positive test. They'll definitely be without the one player who tested positive. We don't know who it is still. They're going to try to practice Saturday morning. So, yeah, a lot of uncertainty. However, if Virginia can play to their normal level, they're going to be a tough out, especially for Ohio. Ohio's not a good defensive team. They're more offensively oriented. Virginia will hold a substantial defensive edge. And if there's ever a team that can maybe take a week off and not practice, it's the slowest tempo team in the nation, the Virginia Cavaliers. So I think they get it done here. Whether they're a good point spread player or not, we'll have to wait and see as we get more information. And by the way, they could face Gonzaga in the Sweet 16 if they go a couple rounds. I know they lost to Gonzaga big earlier this season, but that slow-down half-court style could give Gonzaga a lot of problems. Just a lot of uncertainty, though, right now with Virginia, and that's why the public is understandably heavy on the Ohio Bobcats. Another night game for Saturday, the final game on the board late Saturday night. We're going down in rotation order, though, is 10 p.m. Eastern on TNT. The Oregon Ducks open -6, down to -5.5 in a lot of spots, yet the public is on them. So we've seen a little bit of a conflict maybe between sharp and square money here. Oregon's from the Pac-12. The Pac-12 was down a notch this year, but now all of a sudden, after just less than a couple days into the tournament, the Pac-12 is making some noise. UCLA, of course, as I mentioned earlier, pulled the outright upset of Michigan State on Thursday night in the play-in game. UCLA didn't look very good in that game. They trailed the majority of it, but they got it done when it counted late and in overtime. But then the big upset, biggest surprise it'll be for me in the entire tournament, even more so, to be honest, than Oral Roberts beating Ohio State, was Tennessee falling as an 8.5-point favorite. I had Tennessee going far. Not a surprise. They've been an up-and-down team all season, and I was concerned about them winning 5 or 6 in a row. But I thought it was a good matchup against an Oregon State team that snuck in by winning the Pac-12 last week over Colorado. But maybe the Pac-12 is playing better than we all realized. And if that's the case, Oregon could be a little bit of a sleeper as well. Excellent coach team with Dana Altman. They had a lot of distractions and disruptions during the regular season. They finally had their lineup and their chemistry. So I can understand why there's some public love on the Oregon Ducks -5.5. Let's look at the fourth game on my list here out of the 8 games that we're talking about for Saturday, March 20th in the NCAA first round, the round of 64. Texas Southern, another underdog that's getting some public love. Now, this one, I'll have a little bit of an asterisk next to it. As I'm doing this video Friday evening, the line's only been out for less than a day because Texas Southern had to play the Thursday night play-in game as well. And they came from behind to beat Mount St. Mary's. I liked Mount St. Mary's as a slow-down half-court team against a fast, up-tempo Texas Southern team on Thursday night. It was looking good at halftime. Mount St. Mary's opened as an underdog, closed as a favorite. They were up by 10, 30-20. And then Texas Southern went on a run in the second half. They're not going to be able to do that against Michigan. The question, though, for the Wolverines, though, is which Michigan team is this now without Isaiah Livers, their second most important offensive player in that lineup, probably their best all-around shooter. He is likely out for the tournament. He is definitely out this weekend. It should not matter, though, against Texas Southern. And I think the fact Michigan's coming off a tough semifinal loss last week in the Big Ten tournament, and the fact they don't have a key player, they will rally, and they should have no problem against Texas Southern. But I thought it was interesting that Texas Southern, a really ugly team, is getting some public love. Maybe it's because they were on national TV Thursday night, and the public just saw them pull that second half comeback. By the way, that line opened +26. It's now down to +25.5. So Texas Southern qualifies as a public underdog. That game goes at 3 p.m. Eastern Saturday afternoon on CBS. 4 more public games to get to here for Saturday. Just a quick reminder, my number 1 ranked college basketball season is still available at WagerTalk.com. Entered Friday on a 59-35 run in college hoops this season, 82.5% return on investment, and you can still get on board. There's almost 3 weeks. We have a huge card for Saturday, obviously, Sunday and Monday as well this week with the second round, and then the Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final Four, National Finals, also any NIT I have along the way, and you can do so right now with a $50 discount. Normally it's $299. I took it down to $199 on the website. I'm taking it down another $50 for viewers of this video only this weekend. CBB50, College Basketball 50, CBB50 gets you an additional $50 off the rest of my college basketball season, my number 1 ranked college basketball season. Steve Merril at WagerTalk.com. Let's keep looking at Saturday's most public sides. I gave you 4. We're going to go for another 4 here in rotation order. An early game at 1:45 Eastern on TNT Saturday afternoon. LSU opened as a 2.5-point favorite, or actually about a 2-point favorite, now down to 1.5. So LSU's gone from -2 down to -1.5, yet the public is on that side. So a little bit of a sharp square divide perhaps in this game. And I think one of the reasons the Sharps probably like St Bonaventure is because they are a slow-down half-court team against an LSU team that prefers to play up-tempo. We saw Arkansas start slow on Friday. We saw Tennessee with that terrible loss, as I mentioned. Maybe the SEC a little overrated. We'll have to see. Florida was down by 10 to Virginia Tech before winning in overtime. So the SEC has not looked so good early in the tournament. And I like St. Bonaventure here as the underdog. I definitely think fading the public in this one makes some sense. Once again, LSU from 2 down to -1.5, getting the public love, but the sharp money appears to be on St. Bonaventure, an excellent half-court slow-down defensive team against an LSU squad that's not as comfortable playing that way. Also, another daytime game at 12:15 Eastern on Saturday afternoon. CBS first game to tip off Saturday is perhaps the most public play all day Saturday. I talk about when underdogs are getting love, that it's even more public for that reason. Well, this is a high percentage of the tickets, and it's an underdog on top of that. And it also fits another angle I talked about the other night, which is my Sunday bracket release show. Analysts, inside experts, all leaning one way, and that was definitely the case last Sunday night on CBS, ESPN, all the networks. They all loved Georgetown after their big run through the Big East tournament last week, in which they knocked off Creighton, blew Creighton out. Georgetown now 13-12 for the season, a winning team for the first time all year. They're 8-2 straight up in ATS their last 10 games. So I fully understand why they're getting some love. The question becomes, though, do they have anything left in the tank after that big 4 games in 4 days just to qualify? Hey, look, Oregon State did the same thing. And as I just mentioned, they came out and shocked Tennessee as a dog on Friday. So Georgetown's more than capable of doing it. And I'm not going to dismiss them. I think the setup here was good for Colorado. But the more I dug into this game, you can make a case for Georgetown. Excellent free throw shooting team, but so is Colorado. 75, Colorado 82% from the line. Both teams shoot the 3-ball well, 36.5% each. Georgetown takes good care of the basketball, not many turnovers. Same for Colorado. Two very similar teams here. So although I think Colorado, is the better team overall this season, it really comes down to how good do you think Georgetown's been the last couple of months. Have they really kind of changed after that slow start to the season? Looks like maybe they have, and the public definitely thinks they have, as this is probably the most public play on the board for Saturday. Georgetown Hoyas. And by the way, the line opened 5.5. It's now up to 6.5. So there has been some sharp money coming in on Colorado, but the public in general is definitely back in the underdog Hoyas. 2 more games to look at quickly here for Saturday in the public video. Florida State, another early daytime game, the second game to tip off at 12:45 Eastern Saturday on True TV. Florida State opened 11.5, now down to 10.5 against NC Greensboro. On the surface, it's a pretty good technical setup. I like playing teams that come in off a loss. That means they're good enough to be an at-large team against a team that had to win their conference tournament to get the bid, and that's the case for Greensboro. They beat Mercer in the finals of the Southern Conference a few weeks ago. Florida State, meanwhile, had a loss to Georgia Tech, who ended up winning the whole thing, of course, because Florida State was a 4-point favorite in that game last Saturday night. It got Georgia Tech into the tournament. Georgia Tech then lost their best player this past Tuesday to COVID issues, and he had to sit out the Loyola loss on Friday. So we can't read too much into that game. But Florida State should be playing with a chip on the shoulder. The problem is they do not take care of the basketball. They've had over 90 turnovers their past 5 games combined, including a 25-7 turnover deficit against Georgia Tech, and yet they only lost by 5 points in that game. The question becomes, can Greensboro force turnovers? They forced 18 turnovers against Mercer in that title game a few weeks ago, and they average only about 9 to 10 turnovers a game on the season in conference play. Greensboro, excellent ball handling team, much better than Florida State. So I can understand some concern here, yet the public likes Florida State in that bounce back spot. So some conflicting angles. And by the way, one concern I do have with Greensboro, they are a terrible shooting team from 3-point range. They hit only 30% on the season, one of the worst in the tournament. And normally these underdogs have to hit some threes to pull these big upsets. So that is a concern here. But once again, Florida State's ball handling problems is a major concern as well. The public likes Florida State, yet that line has dropped from 11.5 down to 10.5 for Saturday afternoon. And then finally, a late game, or not a late game, a nighttime game Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern on CBS is Connecticut. Connecticut opened -2 against Maryland. It's now up to -3. Interesting line move in this one. These are two pretty evenly matched teams. And by the way, I mentioned how Georgetown has gone 8-2 straight up in ATS their last 10. Guess what? Their only 2 losses straight up at ATS during that span came both times against Connecticut. So Connecticut was playing some excellent basketball down the stretch. They're now taking on a Big Ten team, though, in Maryland, and the Big Ten is so loaded this year. Although we'll have to wait and see. The early results have been choppy. Michigan State lost. Ohio State loses as a 15-point favorite on Friday afternoon. Purdue was down by 8 against North Texas at the half. So we'll see if the Big Ten maybe is a little overrated. Maybe they've worn each other out this season. But it is interesting to see them as an underdog here against Connecticut. Both teams enter off a loss. Maryland lost by 13 to Michigan last week, and Connecticut had a tough 3-point loss to Creighton, who then got blown out, of course, by Georgetown. But once again, Connecticut's gone from -2 to -3. Of the 8 games, this is probably the least public of the 8, but still a public lean on Connecticut for what it's worth on Saturday evening. Hey, look, that's 8 of the 16 games on the board for Saturday. I hope you can use this information to help your handicapping. Keep in mind, the public is not always wrong or right, but usually you're giving up some line value on very public games, and I use it as a filter to maybe keep me off certain plays or maybe make me look at them a little more the other way. Once again, those are the 8 games I saw on Saturday in the NCAA tournament. We saw a lot of public action on one side. If you'd like to get my official best bets, Same best bets which started this college basketball season, 59-35 with an 82.5% return on investment. Number one at WagerTalk.com. Go to my page right now, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, and use promo code CBB50, CBB50 for a $50 discount off my number one ranked college basketball season for the rest of the way. Once again, CBB50 gets you that discount for the rest of college hoops. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Thanks as always for watching. Be sure to thumbs up, like the video, please. Subscribe to WagerTalk TV. We're getting ever so close to 70,000 subscribers. That helps us keep this content free for you each and every day here on WagerTalk TV. And also leave a comment below here on YouTube. Let me know your thoughts on the video. Let me know who you like in the round of 64 and also the round of 32 coming up. And I'd love to reply back to you. Let me know your thoughts, comment on the video, like, thumbs up, and subscribe. And I'll be back later this week with more content right here on WagerTalk TV. Best of luck.